Hello dear students, welcome to the course of Engineering Thermodynamics. Myself Mihir Mistry, Assistant Professor from Mechanical Department of LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. So today we are gathered to discuss the chapter of refrigeration cycles. So without wasting any time, let us start the refrigeration cycle. In refrigeration cycle, we will see simple working of vapor compression refrigeration cycle. So let us start the discussion. So as you can see on the screen, a typical block diagram of all components of refrigeration cycle are shown over here. Okay, and also we have shown PV, TS and HS diagram on the screen. Okay, so let us identify the components first. So we will start from point number 1 in the block diagram. So starting from point number 1, the first component we have is compressor, followed by condenser, followed by expansion valve, followed by evaporator. So these are the basic 4 components for any typical simple vapor compression refrigeration cycle. It is assumed that all processes are reversible. Okay, so let us start one by one. We will also simultaneously understand the PV, TS and HS diagram for the refrigeration cycle. Remember students, whenever you are drawing the diagram, PV diagram, whether it is or TS diagram or HS diagram. So whenever you are drawing the diagram for power cycles, then the power cycle diagrams are drawn in clockwise manner, and the power consuming cycles, the diagrams are drawn in anti-clockwise manner. So here also, if you will observe, then all PV, TS and HS diagram and also the block diagram is working in anti-clockwise manner. Clear? So let us start the discussion of the typical simple vapor compression refrigeration cycle. So starting from point number 1, we will have low pressure vapor at the inlet of the compressor. So this low pressure, low temperature vapor will be entering into the compressor. So obviously you know the work of the compressor or function of the compressor, that is to compress the vapor. Okay, so as you can see, the point number 1, that is low pressure, low temperature, dry saturated vapor, that is shown or entering into the compressor. So if you observe the PV diagram, so in the PV diagram, point number 1 is plotted on the saturated vapor line. So the meaning of plotting a point on saturated vapor line is it is having dry saturated state. So what is the meaning of dry saturated state? Then refer the steam formation diagram lecture. Okay, dry saturated state means your dryness fraction is equal to 1. The vapor is not having any moisture particle in it. Okay, so as you can see the TS diagram. So there also, if you will observe, the point number 1 is plotted on the saturated vapor line, and if you will observe the HS diagram, there also the point number 1 is plotted on the saturated vapor line. Remember students, whenever you are drawing PV, TS and HS diagram, so you shall remember the pattern of the saturation dome for PV diagram also, TS diagram also and HS diagram also. Many times in examination, competitive examinations, it is asked that in for example in PV diagram, which line is more stiffer, okay, or which line is having more slope in the PV diagram, whether it is saturated liquid line or saturated vapor line. So you shall remember the pattern of saturation dome for PV, TS and HS diagram all. Okay, so keep that thing in your mind because it is important from the perspective of competitive examination. Okay, so now as we were discussing, point number 1 is plotted on the saturated vapor line for all PV, TS and HS diagram. So at point number 1, the vapor will be entering in, that is low pressure, low temperature, dry saturated vapor entering into the compressor. So now the compressor will compress the vapor, so its pressure will increase obviously, and since you are compressing something, so its temperature will also increase. So at point number 2, right, so at the outlet of the compressor, you will have high pressure, high temperature, superheated vapor, right? Sir, why it is superheated? Because at the inlet it is already dry saturated. So now if you will increase the pressure, so due to that the temperature will also increase, and after dry saturated state, if you will increase the temperature of the vapor, it will become superheated vapor. So as you can see in the PV diagram, point number 2 is in the superheated region, right? Now if you will observe that 1 to 2 is ideal process, that is reversible adiabatic or isentropic compression process. So here you can see the pattern that 1 to 2 process is reversible adiabatic or isentropic process. That is why in PV diagram S is equal to C, that means entropy is equal to constant, because isentropic means entropy is equal to constant is written on 1 to 2 line. Same way observe the DS diagram. So obviously if it is isentropic, then the y-axis or x-axis is entropy. So if you will draw a constant entropy line or isentropic line on the TS diagram, so it will be a straight vertical line. That is why 1 to 2 is a straight vertical line on the TS diagram. Same way for HS diagram also, 1 to 2 is a straight vertical line. Clear everyone? And observe that point number 2 is in superheated vapor region. So keep this thing in your mind. Remember students, here as a fluid, refrigerant is used. So keep that thing in mind. Okay, there are different refrigerants available in the market, so that you will study later on. Okay, so as of now you shall consider that different refrigerants are used as per the convenience of manufacturer. Okay, so now we have reached to point number 2, that is high pressure, high temperature vapor. Now this high pressure, high temperature vapor will enter into the condenser. So this condenser will do what? It will condense the vapor into liquid. So simple job, right? So here you can see that from point number 2, observe the block diagram. Condenser is nothing but a kind of heat exchanger, wherein from a tube you are passing the vapor refrigerant, and through that vapor refrigerant tube, the tube is in contact with the atmosphere, right? So what will happen? The vapor will be condensed into the liquid, okay, by rejecting the heat to the atmosphere. That is why the condenser section usually is provided at the back side of the refrigerator. So that is why the back side of the refrigerator is generally hot, okay, because the condensation heat is rejected to the atmosphere. Now from point number 2, the high pressure, high temperature vapor will be sent to the condenser. Now the function of the condenser is simple, students, you know that is to condense the vapor. Now here at point number 2 we have superheated vapor, so we will have to first de-superheat it. Now sir, what is the meaning of de-superheat? Example, let us say the pressure is 1 bar, okay. Now remember that in the condenser the pressure will remain constant throughout its operation. Now at the inlet is, let us say the pressure is 1 bar, and corresponding to 1 bar the saturation temperature is, let us say for example 99 degrees Celsius. Now at point number 2 our vapor is at temperature of 120 degrees Celsius. Now our aim is to convert this vapor which is at 1 bar pressure into liquid at 1 bar pressure. So now what we will have to do? We will have to first de-superheat the vapor. That means reduce the temperature of the vapor from 120 degrees Celsius to 99 degrees Celsius, right? So that is de-superheat. Now further, from 99 degrees Celsius vapor you can convert it into liquid. So that is the phase change or condensation. Remember students that during this whole process the pressure is remaining constant. So that is the significance or meaning of de-superheating. Clear? So you can visualize that from PV diagram that pressure is constant during this whole 2 to 3 process, and also you can appreciate that first initially when it is de-superheating, that is from point number 2 it is in superheated vapor region. That line is going towards the left hand side towards the saturation vapor line, and then further it is going from saturation vapor line to saturation liquid line, right? Now same way let us observe the TS diagram. Here in the TS diagram obviously I have told you the example. First you will de-superheat it. So observe point number 2, it is in superheated vapor region. You will de-superheat it. So from 2 to slant line is presented. So from 2 to saturation vapor line, and from saturation vapor line to saturation liquid line. That is point number 3. So remember students, during this 2 to 3 pressure is constant. Same way observe the HS diagram. right? So obviously from 2 to 3 the enthalpy will decrease because you are converting vapor into liquid, so obviously the enthalpy will reduce. That can be visualized using the HS diagram. 2 to 3, 2 point is in superheated vapor region and 3 point is on saturated liquid line. Clear, students? Now at point number 3 we have high pressure, high temperature liquid refrigerant. Okay, at point number 2 what we were having? High pressure, high temperature vapor refrigerant, and at point number 3 we have high pressure, high temperature liquid refrigerant. Now from point number 3 the refrigerant is passed through expansion device. Generally expansion devices are of two categories. Generally expansion valves are used, or long length tubes are also used that are known as capillary tubes. Okay, so the operation or function of the device is very simple: to reduce the pressure and also the temperature. Okay, so let us understand that also. So as you can see from 3 point we are entering the saturated liquid into the expansion device. So what will happen in expansion device? If you recall the first law of thermodynamics chapter, there we have derived the steady flow energy equation, also known as SFEE. Now in that steady flow energy equation we also went through the applications of SFEE. So certain applications are like turbine, compressor, condenser, and in that various cases we have also discussed about throttling devices. Now remember students, this expansion valve is nothing but a kind of throttling device, and there we have already proved that throttling devices are isenthalpic devices. The meaning of isenthalpic device is what? Simple, the enthalpy will remain constant. We will come to that point a bit later on. First let us understand the physical concept over here, that at point number 3 we will enter high pressure, high temperature liquid, and that liquid will pass through a long length or pass through a valve, so that will reduce its pressure. So when pressure is reduced, its temperature will also reduce. So here you can see that from point number 3 to point number 4 in the PV diagram the pressure has decreased. Same way I told you, if you will decrease the pressure, then temperature will also decrease due to Joule-Thomson effect. So here observe the TS diagram, that temperature is also reducing from 3 to 4. And also observe now the HS diagram. So in HS diagram you can observe that from 3 to 4 the line is drawn as horizontal. The significance of horizontal line is what, students? That enthalpy for 3 and 4 both points will remain same, and the meaning of that thing is what? 3 to 4 is isenthalpic process. Isenthalpic means enthalpy will remain constant, and you can connect that point to the first law of thermodynamics SFEE applied to throttling device. During that we have already proved that the throttling devices are isenthalpic devices. Now one more thing, it is isenthalpic device, not isentropic. That means what, sir? That means the entropy is changing during this process. Entropy is not remaining constant. Okay, so that means it is irreversible process. Only 3 to 4 is irreversible process. An irreversible process, here the diagram which we have drawn, PV, TS and HS diagram, the complete lines are for reversible processes. So we cannot show the irreversible process by complete line, and that is why process 3 to 4 is drawn by a dotted line. Observe in the diagram. Okay, so irreversible process is represented by a dotted line. So that is why 3 to 4 is joined by a simple dotted line, just for your understanding. Clear? See, this is known as property diagrams, PV, TS and HS diagram, and property diagrams are having reversible processes only. But this particular process is not reversible. That is why it is identified by or joined by a dotted line. Clear, students? Now, one more thing, isenthalpic, that part is clear, right? Now, one more thing. Then at point number 3, you are entering high pressure, high temperature liquid, and it is converted into low pressure, low temperature liquid. Now it is converted into, sir, how much low pressure? Now that is very logical. Understand here. The pressure is decreased such a way that at that lower pressure, your saturation temperature will be less than the atmospheric temperature. Very crucial thing. Just open your mind and listen to me carefully. In the throttling device, what will happen? You are reducing the pressure of the liquid refrigerant. So this reduction in pressure is done such a way that at the outlet of the throttling device, the pressure is such that corresponding to it, the saturation temperature will be less than the atmospheric temperature. Sir, we didn't understand. Let us think logically. See, if saturation temperature is less than atmospheric temperature, then what will happen? Let us understand. Now you know that the concept of saturation temperature is what? To convert the liquid into vapor or boiling point. That is known as saturation temperature. Right? So now what will happen? You are decreasing the pressure such that at that pressure, the boiling point of the refrigerant has already reached. So now the boiling point has already reached. That means what? As soon as the refrigerant will come out of the expansion device, so it will start converting into vapor. Because why? Because, for example, let me explain it to you by simple number. Let us say at the outlet of the expansion device, the pressure is 0.5 bar, and at that 0.5 bar, the saturation temperature is, let us say, 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, and now the atmospheric temperature is, let us say, 25 degrees Celsius. So what will happen? As soon as the refrigerant will come out of the throttling device, so its own saturation temperature or boiling temperature is 15 degrees Celsius, but it is passing through the tube, and the tube is in contact with 25 degrees Celsius atmosphere. So what will happen? Simple. The refrigerant will start immediately evaporating. Okay, so that thing will start. Now, sir, what is the advantage of doing so? Advantage of doing so is simple, students. The whole liquid refrigerant will absorb, because see, if you want to convert the liquid into vapor, then you will have to absorb the latent heat. Okay, and latent heat will be somewhat higher compared to the sensible heat. Okay, so in that latent heat, due to that latent heat, what will happen? The refrigerant, wherever it will be passing through, it will absorb the heat around itself or around the tubes. Okay, because the tendency of the refrigerant is to what? To convert from liquid to vapor. So it will try to convert from liquid to vapor, and in order to do so, the refrigerant have to absorb the heat. And this heat will be absorbed from where? It will be absorbed from the refrigerator section. So we will get the advantage like that due to the latent heat consumption, our refrigerator section will get cooled down. The heat in the refrigerator section will be absorbed by the refrigerator. Okay, so that is why the pressure at the outlet of the expansion device is reduced such a way that corresponding to it, the saturation temperature is less than the temperature of the atmosphere. Okay, clear, students? It is very important and crucial phenomena to understand. Okay, so now what will happen at the point number 4? We will have, see, that is why in practical cases, what will happen in practical cases, in the intermediately in the expansion device itself, the liquid refrigerant will start evaporating. So if you will observe that you will have bubbles formation in the expansion device itself. Okay, at the later stage of the expansion device. So that is why you can see line 3 to 4. So point number 4 is in wet region. So wet region means what? it is having the combination of liquid plus vapor. Okay, so that is the practical scenario. Okay, so that is what point number 4 is. Okay, so now point number 4, we have a wet refrigerant vapor that will be entering into the evaporator. So evaporator will do what? Evaporator will evaporate it. So that means it will be converted from wet vapor to dry saturated vapor, right? So wet vapor to dry saturated vapor, it is converted. That is why, remember students, in the evaporator itself, the pressure will remain constant. Okay, so keep that thing in your mind. Okay, so now you can observe over here and appreciate that in PV diagram, 4 to 1 is constant pressure line. In TS diagram, 4 to 1 is constant temperature line. Sir, why it is constant temperature line? Because from 4 to 1 we are absorbing latent heat. So latent heat absorption means what? Your temperature will not change. That is why temperature is constant during 4 to 1. And obviously, since you are converting the liquid into vapor or wet vapor into dry vapor, your enthalpy will increase. That is why you can see that in the HS diagram from 4 to 1, the enthalpy is increasing. Okay, so that is very easy and simple to understand, right students? So that is how the simple vapor compression refrigeration cycle will work. Here, remember students, process 1 to 2 is reversible adiabatic compression process. Process 2 to 3 is reversible constant pressure heat rejection process. 3 to 4 is isenthalpic process, that is not reversible. 4 to 1 is reversible constant pressure heat addition process. Okay, so that is how these all processes are working. Okay, I hope everyone is clear up to this point. So today we are going to keep up to this point. Thank you.